Hello and welcome to Mini-Age Painting. Today we're going to kitbash some Sisters of Silence with a box of Slaanesh demonettes. I also have a couple of extra sprues that I'll use for this conversion. I don't know all the sprues that I will use here, as I got some from a bit store in a sprue box. We'll start by taking apart the demonettes and building the bodies of these ladies. Let's do a quick sprue montage. Now that I have cleaned and assembled the bodies of 5 of these demonettes, let's build up the sisters with another quick sprue montage. We're going to focus the video of this conversion on the Sister Superior. I'm going to take the torso of this sister and separate it from the legs. To do this, I'm going to carefully cut away at the legs until I can safely get them apart with my knife. Once I have these 2 bits separated, I'll do the same thing with the body of a demonette. As a tip, don't do what I did here. It will be much easier if you leave the bits unglued and cut a single leg off of the torso instead of trying to cut them both off. This is hindsight for me, but I want to make your lives easier. Now I'm going to glue the demonette torso to the legs of the Sister Superior. The demonette torso I chose for this has some armor that comes down in a V-like shape, so I'm going to cut that shape into the legs of the sister. After a couple of test fits and some careful cutting, I'm able to get the torso to fit nicely onto the legs. With that done, I am now going to try to fit this cape that I believe comes from a Hedonite's kit. If you know which kit this actually comes from, let me know in the comments below. But for now, I want to cut one of these chain bits off of the cape and then attach it to the chest here. Demonettes only have one breast, and I want to keep it that way because, to me, that screams Slaanesh. So I'm going to cut away the torso of this demonette until I can fit it flush with the cape. Multiple tests, cuts, and clips later, I have a cape that will fit snugly onto the torso. Now that I have done this, I can take some sprue goo and apply it to the connection and squish it together. I'm using sprue goo here because the connection leaves some gaps, and I hope that the sprue goo will squish out of these gaps to fill the holes. I can always come back later with more goo and fill in any more gaps that I miss. Once the glue has solidified, I can take the flamer from the Sisters kit and glue the arm to the gun. This will help with posing the arms and help make sure that it can fit onto the torso. However, after fiddling with the gun arms, I realized that I won't be able to easily fit the proper flamer onto this torso. So I'll instead save it for the torso of the actual sister instead of trying to force it onto here. Instead, what I'm going to do is take an old warp flamer that I have spare from my Thousand Suns army and I'm going to cut that gun up a little bit in order to fit it into the crab arm of a demonette. Heretical problems, heretical solutions. With that glued together, we'll take the pointing arm from the superior kit and add this to the model. I need to apply some sprue goo to the shoulder joint so it can have something to hold on to. With that model done, we're going to move on to painting. To do so, we're going to take a different approach compared to the other paint scheme I've done for my previous Slaanesh Custodes that you can find in the pinned section here. This different approach is going to be similar to the slap chop that seems to be taking the mini painting world by storm. To do this, I start with a black prime in Army Painter Matte Black, followed by airbrushing a zenithal highlight of Vallejo Game Color Arctic White. With that done, we'll take Demonette Hide and apply this to all of the skin, as well as all the points in the armor that was hit by the white zenithal. This is going to create the base of the black armor that this will turn into. After this, we'll take Blood Angel's Red and apply this to the cape and any leather this model has. In the case of the Sister Superior, we have the tassels and some leather on her chest. Now let's take some Leadbelcher and apply this to the icons of the false god and the metal on the tassels. I'll also apply some of this to the details on her flamer. Let's start the tarnished gold by applying Retributor armor on the trim of the shoulder plates as well as the chest armor. We can also take this color and apply it to the barrel of the flamer and the extra chaos icons near where the trigger was. With the base colors taken care of, we can move on to shading with my favorite color, Druchii Violet, going over all of the Leadbelcher and the skin of this lovely lady. We should apply it fairly heavily onto the armor to give it more of that darker look that I love. Moving on, let's apply Reikland Flesh Shade to the gold in order to give it that tarnished look. Up next, we'll apply Carroburg Crimson to the hair. This will tint with a nice red color, leaving behind a pink tone. For a final shade, I'm going to take 2 coats of that liquid talent that is Nuln Oil and apply this to the armor. This will tint it to a nice purple-black color that will match the rest of my army. While that is drying, let's base coat the crab claw, because I forgot to do that earlier. To do that, we'll just take a Baden Black and coat the claw. Now that the shade has dried, let's take some Stormhost Silver and apply this to the sharp points of the armor. Let's highlight that crab claw now. To do this, we're going to take some Dark Reaper and run this color on the edges, as well as the raised bits around the symbols that cover the claw. Now we can finish that claw by taking Fenrisian Grey and applying that to the sharpest points on the claw, as well as the topmost points of those symbol highlights. While that dries, let's apply some Warpfiend Grey to the forehead, nose, and cheeks of this lady for a first highlight of the skin. After that, we can take Slaanesh Grey as a final highlight. Focus this color on top of the Warpfiend Grey, but make sure to leave some of it in the recesses. Now we can wrap this up by applying Hexwraith Flame to the canister under the Warp Flamer to give it a Warp Fire look. Now let's take a step back and figure out why these normally chaos immune sisters fell to the corruption of Slaanesh. The null gene is rare in humans, It grants us this uncanny ability to harm sorcerers and unsettles mortals with our presence alone. It's wonderful to see the way their faces twist with discomfort when we simply walk past. This was the feeling that drew her attention. The Prince of Pleasure is what some call her. We just call her Master. She granted us bodies that help us cause even more discomfort and pain to those around us. The Battle Brothers that share her gift know full well that we enjoy everything just as much as they do. So we go. We travel the universe, sowing as much chaos and depravity as we can. We are silent no more, for we follow the Master and all her glorious teachings. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of these horribly traitorous sisters of Slaanesh. I always read all of the comments posted. I hope you have a fantastic day. See you in the next one.